Hi, I'm Jake Burkett from Gralien Games, and when I'm not making video games, one of my hobbies is retro computing. And I want to talk about these Spectrums. So this Spectrum is actually the first computer I had. I got this, I think it was for my 9th birthday in 1984, and underneath the motherboard said it was made in 1983, so that probably tracks unless I got it Christmas 1983, not sure. I do remember I went to Yeovil with my dad and we bought this, and at the time I'm pretty sure you could get either the Toast Rack Spectrum or ZX Spectrum+, one of those sort of early ones still made by Sinclair. Unfortunately this thing blew up when I was about 12 or something. I had it a couple of years at least, anyway, 2-3 years, and I was playing Starquake and suddenly the screen just went black. And I didn't get it repaired or anything. I mean, I didn't really know what to do. I took it apart and had a look inside, and I fiddled around. I actually removed, I don't know why, I cursed my 12-year-old self. I took this, where the power cable plugs in, I took the whole thing out, just completely out. I don't know why, and I've ruined the sort of, the circular vias there as well. So one day I might try to repair this. First off, I'd need to get the ability to get power into the board through this. I need to get some kind of new connector and fix it, maybe with bodge wires or whatever. And then if I can get that power going into the right places, then I'd need to actually debug and find out why it had a black screen. And it's a nice idea. It could be tricky. I don't know a lot about Spectrums. I'd have to do some research. Anyway, so I had this and it was a great computer. And then when it blew up, I bought a second-hand Commodore 64, which was from a friend who'd upgraded to an Amiga, actually. So when would that have been? At least 85, 86 or something like that. Maybe even 87 yeah, probably 87 that was. So I got a Commodore 64, and that was great. Second-hand one, as I said. Then I sold it later on when I got my Amiga. But anyway, the whole time I had the Commodore 64, I found it not as fun to program, believe it or not, as the Spectrum with the Spectrum Basic, which was easier. And a friend of mine had one of these, a Spectrum+2, and I used to go round his house literally to program this thing. I remember eating cheap crisps and pop and either playing games on his computer or actually like trying to program things. I think he was a bit bored and would go and do other things, and I'd just sit in his house and program his +2. And then years later I was posting on the internet, Twitter I believe at the time, and I said how I always coveted one of these Spectrum+2s because they're actually kind of cool. These are the ones made by Amstrad. They've still got the Sinclair branding on, but Amstrad made them, and they've got the same form factor as the Amstrad 464. Well, sort of. Actually, that was a bit more massive, but same kind of bulky look. And I always said I liked this, and then somebody very kindly said they had one and they were local and did I want one? So I'm like, yes. And they brought this around with this Sinclair joystick, which admittedly was never a good joystick compared to, say, I've got over here Competition Pro, which I used with my Amiga microswitch thing, and this QuickShot 2, which came with the Commodore 64. I've got a Commodore 64, but it's a second-hand one I bought recently off eBay, which is the one that's also actually blown up and I'm trying to fix in another series of videos. This joystick was in tatters and I had to sort of fix a load of stuff inside, and it's okay. This one, basically the fire button only works if you press extremely hard on the front, and it's practically useless as a joystick. So I've ended up using keys for a lot of the games that I've tried out on the Spectrum. So it did come with some cool games, and it was also dirty, and I cleaned it all up, and I think it's a really nice looking computer. I quite like this sort of rainbow data recorder thing here as well. One of the big flaws about this is, well, with the Spectrum Spectrum 48K, that's what this is, we had to buy a separate tape deck to load the tapes in. But of course, a separate tape deck could have a tape counter. So if you had a tape with multiple games on, you could forward wind to the correct place and press play on the tape counter. Or even if you were nerdy like me, you could write down how long it took for a game to load, and you'd know that when it approached 50 or whatever on the tape counter, it was loaded. However, this Spectrum+2, it doesn't have a tape counter, and of course the Commodore 64 had one on its small little tape deck, so it was kind of not great for multi-game tapes. But when I also got this first from the friend who delivered this, I tried to load stuff on tape and it just wasn't seeming to work, and I could hear when it was loading it was making this very, very quiet noise. And I was reading about possible fixes, and somebody said, oh, it works if you press the corner of this down. And I thought, what? And I tried it, and after pressing it down, or maybe just because it needed to warm up or whatever, I don't know, it started to work again and load. Anyway, so this is a Spectrum+2. I tried it with a composite video lead on my big TV, but the problem was it had sort of, well, it's rubbish composite video, and it had this sort of interference pattern on the screen. So I've got one of these Retro Shack RGB cables that plugs in via SCART. Actually, I haven't plugged the sound in, so the sound goes in round here. See, normally the composite goes in here, and this is the RGB. That's that. The joysticks go on the end, 2 joysticks if you've got Sinclair joysticks. You could also get adapters for different types of joysticks, and that's the power port. There's also a reset button on the +2, which the original one never had. You just had to pull the cables out whenever you wanted to sort of switch it, well, reset it, pull the cable out and plug it in, or off and on at the wall. So this one, it hasn't got an on and off switch like the Commodore 64. So it's still a bit cheapy, but it's a lot better than the Plus. Sorry, I keep calling it the Plus. It's really the no plus whatsoever. It's the 48K. So I'm going to switch this on at the wall. I've got the TV on SCART mode, and it should just sort of boot up. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I was just showing there's a LED here as well, so it's even got a light. Highly advanced stuff. Now the cool thing about the Spectrum+2 is, yes, you can load stuff off tape, and if I use these arrow keys here, which are not in the usual configuration we're all used to on a PC, which does throw me from time to time, you can actually boot the machine into 48K basic like this, and then you can load things using 48K mode. And if you look at the keyboard, there's this sort of key that says load on it, and that's because every key on the old Spectrum had a basic command attached to it, and you could use this symbol shift key, which is worn out. I did so much coding on this thing. Then you can sort of, or maybe actually I think you just press the basic key to call up a basic command, and symbol shift brought up these red ones that are underneath. I'm not sure now, I can't remember. But there was a lot of weird key presses that were supposed to save you time, but because you had to learn all the different key presses, I'm not sure it did. So on this machine, normally you type out your basic commands, but in 48K mode, I think, do I just press J? Yeah, load, and then you can put in 2 quotes and then sort of, you know, load off the tape, right? And some games only, I should have showed that again. Let me just reset that. We'll just go down to 48K. Yeah, so when I press this load key, you'll see here, oh, notice it says Amstrad, by the way, not Sinclair anymore. And then I can do this. Some games only work in the 48K mode, and if you try to load them in 128K mode, it goes wrong. So I'm just going to press the reset button again. There's also a calculator, which admittedly I never used. And then there's the 128K basic, or you can just start to load a game off tape. But in the basic mode, it's got a slightly fancier bar along the bottom, and then you can properly type stuff out. So instead of it a hotkey for print, I don't know if I can do this one-handed. Oh, where's backspace? Delete. Delete's over here, look. So like on a PC, you always go to press break, you know, backspace, but it's a break key on this. Delete there. So print, and let's get some quotes in there. Let's go for trying all this one-handed. Jake is cool, yeah. Okay, so when I press enter, I think it uppercases the print, so it's recognized it as a keyword. Obviously, the big thing in modern programming is never use go-tos, but we're going to use one. And then I can run that, and there you go. And it asks me if I want to scroll. Yeah, go on, scroll. Woohoo! Okay, break. Yeah, there we go. And list, I think, shows the... Oh, I don't need to do list. Maybe that's what I used to have to type on the L1. One of the cool things about 128K Basic, it's also got a renumber command. So it's just a lot better than the old one. So if I did something like 15 print, or just, you know, high sort of thing, then let me just move down a bit, enter. If I type renumber, I think it's renumber. Oh, variable not found. Okay, I'm pretty sure there was a command that let you renumber everything. So the 10, it would go 10, 20, 30. I don't know why it's not showing that. What does extend mode do? Oh, I don't know what extend mode does. What does break do now? Nothing. It's got these also these. So I was looking at these weird keys on the keyboard. There's a thing called extend mode. Break was what I used just to break the code, but that seems to be putting in spaces up here. There's also keys for true video, inverse video. Looks like. What does edit do? Okay, there's the renumber command on this menu. I thought it was somewhere around here. So renumber, there we go. So that's kind of quite cool. Funny, it's got weird keys, this machine, for sure. Print must print out to a printer, I guess. What does this do? That just goes back. And what does exit do? It probably goes back to the initial title page. Yeah, okay. So and if you do tape loader on this, it's a bit more, got a bit more information. You know, insert a tape and press play, and then you'll see the loading screen and so on. So anyway, that's my Spectrum+2, which I think is a great looking computer actually. And now I'm envious of this Amstrad shape, and I'm kind of interested in getting an Amstrad 6128 at some point, which is a disk drive model. I mean, a friend of mine had a +3 Spectrum, and that came with a disk drive built in. And it was these weird 3-inch discs which Amstrad used because they're a bit cheaper than Amiga style discs or the 5.25 floppy disk you had on Commodore 64. But the +3 was kind of quite cool that it had that. But I don't think it was just black, and I just really like the grey of this one. But the Amstrad 6128's black with a disk drive, and I thought, I don't have an Amstrad. I never really used them hardly at all. Even a friend of mine had one, and I played Night Law on a couple of games. But I'd really like to just sort of get an Amstrad and try out some games and use a disk drive. So that's a possible future thing. We will see. So here's a game called Pod, which I've never played before. Mastertronic game, $1.99. It actually says on the front at the top that it works on a 128K+2. So we don't need to put it in a different mode. We've got this on tape loader anyway. So I'm just going to pop this tape in. I'm trying to do this one-handed. I haven't got a very professional setup here. This game claims on the back, it says Pod has no pretentious storyline. It's just, you know, the most addictive and exciting shoot 'em up ever. Yeah, okay, really. Looks like it's not been rewound, gasp. I guess we can find out if there's a copy on the other side. So let's press play. Normally there's a bit of lead in on these tapes. Oh, you can hear that it's got past the lead in. There we go, the famous blue and white sort of stripes. That's just a sort of telling it to listen. And then the sort of green and blue and yellow ones that come afterwards, that's the actual data. See, this doesn't appear to be a very good, yeah, that's failed basically. That has not worked. It shouldn't just be flashing red and blue. So it's either the tape player has loaded some games, so I don't think it's the tape player, I think it's this tape. So So I'm going to flip it over, rewind on this side, give it a go loading on this side. It's possible, I mean, if that other side's corrupt, I don't know if that means the end of this side will be corrupt, if that makes sense. To cancel, press break twice, it says there, so I'm just going to do that. Yeah, let's try loading again. So this is the other side of the tape. It looked like it was loading at first on the other one, but I got a bit of a suspicion. Yeah, that's a noisy tape. Doesn't sound good. Is it going to do anything? Wow, I can't hear anything at all. Oh, here we go. Okay, that's better. It now says pod 0. Okay. Yeah, it's a very noisy tape. Either that or I've got the volume turned up too loud or something, but on the TV. No, I mean, it should be okay. Alright, good. Is it loading a title screen? Quite a lot of the time games load a title screen in this phase. If it was going to do that, we've seen it already. Or it could be loading it in the background and that's going to display the whole thing. I'm actually going to go into my options here and change to 4:3. I think it's in screen format. Normal, that's fine, normal. There we go. So I think it must have loaded the data in the background and the color data, which it displayed in one go. Really? Okay, that was a long pause. Sean Southern. Okay, to be fair, Sean Southern is a great programmer and has made some really good games. I've played some of his games on Commodore 64. But this is a conversion by Mike Davies, so did Mike Davies do a good job? I don't know. We'll have a look. Okay, the game actually loaded. There's no music and not particularly impressive title screen. It's got, it says symbol to start, which is this key. Where's the symbol key? This key. So that's a weird key to start. You wouldn't think that. Apparently it's 1 or 2 players and you can define their controls. If I press number 3, it says in the manual. Okay, so keyboard for player 1, A, F, G, S, D. What? That's a weird set of keys, but okay. Yeah, I don't know if I can redefine that. Let's just press R to redefine keyboard. Yeah, okay, good. I love it when a game lets me redefine. So what we don't know which is up is the problem, and which is shoot. It doesn't really say. Oh, okay, look at this Kempston joystick. Okay, so shooting. What do I want for shooting? Let's have space. That works. And then we want left, right, up, down. Let's go for WASD. I mean, I assume, oh, I'm looking at the arrow, so W, S, A, D. Yeah, okay. WASD and space. Give it a go, I guess. How do we move on from this screen? R to redefine. Maybe I just press 3 to return to main menu. Okay, and then symbol to start. I think I want 1 player, so it's flashing on 1 anyway. Symbol to start. Here we go. Got WASD. Do you know what I've realised playing this? Is there no sound? Wow, no sound. Okay. Looks like it only shoots vertically, so it's a bit like some kind of Space Invader game. No sound. How on earth did they do that? Well, yeah, this is Mastertronic were possibly scraping the barrel. I bet that if this version on the Commodore 64 is really good. Look at that, it's got these white bullets on a white grid, virtually impossible to see. I guess everything does move quite quickly, to be fair, so, and it's got these sort of multicoloured lines in the background just to distract you. So this is the best, fastest, most exciting shoot 'em up ever, is it? Well, I'm a fan of sound effects and music, so those would have definitely helped matters. To be honest, the tape didn't take long to rewind, and that was the sort of clue that, you know, it's not using up probably the whole of the 48K in the memory even. So it's probably quite a small little game. I forgot I can go up and down. I mean, why is the question? Why would I want to? Oh yeah, I guess. Oh, bonus ×3. What's the next level like? So the question is, if I'd spent $1.99 of this of my hard-earned pocket money or Christmas money or birthday money or something, would I have gone, wow, this is so worth it? Possibly not, is my sad little conclusion, unfortunately. Still got quite a lot of lives left. I mean, to its credit, it's not too stingy with the lives. I'm playing this one-handed, by the way, but luckily you can just sort of hold down space and move around. All right, so that's Pod. I've got to admit that, oh, it has got a title screen. That was the loading screen and the title screen. Okay, well, that's Pod. Not the world's best game, but at least I've checked it out now. Thanks for watching. Bye.